the bottom pulls from the top. As above, so below. If there's damage to the root chakra, when it tries to pull from above, it's inverted. Now it's pulling and it's spinning in the circle at the base. So now when your crown chakra try to wake you up, when you hit every chakra, the light is always fragmented out of position. You can't line up the chakras because the root chakra is damaged. And that's the one that's in charge of your sexuality, your creativity, your war mode, all that stuff. When your energy have to hit the root chakra and come back up to the crown. When it don't make it back up to the crown, you can't be the king. Period.
Hey, that makes sense. That make a lot of sense. That make a lot of sense. So that brings my next question. Now, these guys, these elites and the secret societies, I noticed that they follow a certain code of honor, and that they don't want, like say they wouldn't come at you personally to take you down. They want your own people. They want what's the girl name? The girl that's always try to come after you. I ain't heard nothing from her in a while since you came out with the Diddy thing. But you know, they send people like that. They want your own people. Why do they need your own people to take you down? Like they had docs. They had to have Doc's own people to take them down. They had to have
No, they don't have to.
Go ahead.
They can outright murder you themselves, right? Like if you go look up Michael Jackson, extortion, the guy that they went to prison for, he went to prison. They caught him. He wasn't no pale face, right? They don't have to, but they will use whoever weakest. Fredo. They looking for Fredo in the family. I'm smart, Mikey. I can make decisions. I can run stuff too, Mikey. I ain't no dummy. Right? He want to prove himself at the expense of his brother because he can't see the game being played on him. When they use the ones closest to us because we don't see the game being played on us most of the time. Sometimes they just offer them a fat check. And that'd be enough because poverty will make people do stuff that they wouldn't do if they was wealthy. But wealth will make people do stuff that they wouldn't do if they was impoverished. So it's a double-edged sword, right? The middle class is the median between the two. The middle class is so comfortable that you can't make them poor again. But they ain't quite as wealthy as the rich, so they controllable because they don't have enough money to push the middle class influence into the lower class. This is the basis of all of the warfare was to wrestle the wealth from the people. It had no other purpose, right? So that's a good segue into the Donald Trump video I sent you. Listen to who he's saying they giving the money to. These are the same people they telling us we need to be scared of that they finance. You gotta remember that. Right. So pull up the Donald J video. It's one of the ones I sent you.
Hey, this is my last question before we go into the Donald Trump video. Now, I noticed the bloody oath, and they said these guys, these Jesuits, these Spanish Inquisition guys, said they was gonna come out of us to kill the princes and kings on the land. But to me, when I go to these Nubian communities, to our communities, it's mostly us shooting each other up. It's mostly us stabbing and robbing each other.
That's because they look like us.
Okay, go ahead. Because I was gonna say, like,
they look like us. The ones that they in the community with us, they grow up with us. Go back to the first page of Are There Black Devils?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. They grow up with us. They play with our kids on the playground. Play with their kids. We don't know physiologically they look the same, but ideologically they fundamentally different.
That makes sense.
If they the ones that if they see you fighting the dude and they want to set it off, they gonna convince you to shoot him if you lose, and there's nobody else around with a level head saying, man, that's the dumbest thing in the world. We squabble up over here. We run the fade. I got faded. Right. We that's how we work. Now they come in with this ego soreness. My ego hurt. You whip my ego. Now I gotta kill you.
You gotta smoke the food now.
Right. Because now you got this negative energy in your ear saying, man, I wouldn't have took that ass whooping if I was you. I'd have shot that sucker, man. I don't believe you. But when the drama go down, they ain't nowhere around.
Nowhere around.
They got a birthday party to go to for their niece in Arkansas when they live in Maine. Yeah, anything they can do to get away from it when the time for the drama to go down, they're not gonna be there. But they gonna always be in your ear, instigating you, souping you up, charged, especially when they know they gotta go get her.
Yeah, them gins. We call them gins.
I call them rotten ass SOBs. I can't say what I want to say.
Yeah, they gins, real live gins. Here we go right here, Rod. I'm finna roll it. I'm finna blank my screen up.
Well, a lot of it is the Social Security Administration itself scamming, but it's also people in the community scamming. Damn. So it got two big gaping holes in Social Security. Not to mention the origin of Social Security comes from the dude they call Ponzi. You ever heard of a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah, the Ponzi scheme. Yeah.
That's the same blueprint they use to draw up the Social Security payout system.
That's crazy.
That's why you got to be aged into it, and then you got to die out of it to make way for the next ones that age into it to get the benefit. But really, Social Security is supposed to be giving you about 5 to 10 times what you're getting from it. But because they mismanaging the resources, they can't properly allocate what you deserve. And this is why you have elders that's having problem out of their insurance. They're having problem with their check. Sometimes it don't come on time. And we know it's supposed to hit the first and the third or like clockwork.
Yeah, right.
But some of them, why my check late, right? Some of them like wondering why they check. They call and they say, well, we can't find you in the system. How did you lose them in the system when it's computerized?
Right.
And you've been paying them out. You should be able to pull. But what be happening is sometimes when they be trying to cover their tracks, they bump people out of the system by accident. Because they get grouped in with the fraudulent ones they canceling out.
Yeah, that's
because they do them in, that's called batch rolling in banking, where you pick a whole bunch of them and then you put them all together and then you sell them in batches, which makes it discounted. It's like buying in bulk. Right? So they take your birth certificate, your Social Security payout, instead of giving you the full payout, they adjust it in order to make for the losses that's going out for the fraud scamming at the bottom and the fraud scamming at the top. Now, you just heard the president of the country saying, hey, this is fraud. Right. He said it out his mouth. Right? The whole system is fraudulent.
That's what he said.
Right? And the reason why, that's why he know all of it is fraud. He had another video, I was hoping it was another, when he was naming all the terrorist groups that they was funding. Hamas, Taliban, the family, somebody in bin Laden family. You know, the Bushes had close relationship with the bin Ladens.
That's right.
Everybody down act like that didn't happen.
Right.
Right. It's officially recorded that only one plane was allowed to take off because somebody had got bit by a spider or something. That's not true. The only plane allowed to leave the United States was the morning of 9/11, while GW is down in Florida reading comic books to babies in the school so he could have his alibi intact. His daddy is having a meeting with several of bin Laden brothers and some more oil interests from the Middle East because they are plotting to take over Afghanistan and Iraq, not for the reason they told us, but because they wanted to build that oil pipeline from Uzbekistan through Afghanistan, through Iraq into the Persian Gulf in order to ship the oil over here at a discount. So it was about oil money that the Gulf War, the second one, was set off. The bin Ladens is a construction family. Why is that important? Because Halliburton got the reconstruction contract to rebuild Afghanistan and Iraq, right? They got total carte blanche. But who are they going to hire in the Middle East? They not hiring Americans workers and sending them over there to rebuild the infrastructure.
That's right.
And under the Saudi royal decree, if anybody do any major construction projects, they got to use the Bin Laden construction firm.
Yep.
So now Halliburton in turn got to pay the Bin Ladens.
Right.
Right. So they gonna get paid no matter how it look, how we think about it. The whole U.S. corporation, we segue into the video about AI telling us how America is a fraud.
Yeah.
Right.
How long that one is?
It's a couple.
Rundown. That's all rundown. Right?
Yeah. So that was AI that she was talking to her. She asked AI the question at the beginning. AI told him everything I said. And I told him where to go find it at. AI just condensed it all.
Yeah.
And I don't know that girl from Moroccan Iraq. Somebody sent me the video.
That's deep. That's deep.
Right. Now, the judicial system is the biggest fraud because they bankers. But they was given the order to shut down those what you call them, non-Article 3 courts, which is actually the ones that enforce policy and not law under Admiralty and Maritime. Right? Did I send you Queen Diallo from Canada talking about the yeah, so that's but see, you got to remember, all crime is commercial.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You read my mind.
All crime is commercial. That means that all crime has a monetary value to the crime.
That's right.
But instead of making you pay the monetary value, they hold you in reprisal as a collateral and force you to work the money off in the form of prison-free labor.
Modern day slavery, pretty much.
Yeah, it's all this is but they're doing it to the people in the street too, but they using a different system. They're using taxation and inflation. Right? Now remember, not only are they keeping they trying to keep the kings and the princes of the land from rising to power, they also killing the people at large. Right? I mean, they got people just killing people indiscriminately, orchestrated by circumstantial controls of sociology. Right. Remember, it said right in there when she was talking about the psychological experiment, the manipulation tactics.
Right.
Right. So the reason why we don't function well is because our domestic situation is hostage crisis situation passed down as family structure.
Wow.
Right. So they using the system to destroy this cohesion in the family. They got to make the women hate the men hate the women.
Makes sense.
Right. This is our uncivil war.
That's right. In this doctrine.
Right. So it's domestic warfare fought domestically using domestic violence. In a domestic violence situation, it's the person who the system is breaking, cracking, taking it out on the people closest to them. It's how you end up when two tribes is crossing each other's territory. And instead of crossing in harmony, now we crossing in conflict.
Right.
Because it's the social engineering. It's the poverty that make us defensive of the territory because we got to get it from the dirt.
Right.
Getting it from the dirt went from getting it out the farm to getting it out the city streets. In the dirt is all of the nefarious things that go on in the city that's looked down on as a social standard.
That's another thing, Paul. I had another question that I had tied into them taking out the princes on the land and the bloody oath. Now, I see that as I'm going through studying on the land, a lot of Nubians had land, but they never bought it. And you said something about this before. How is these guys getting land? And could that be tied into why they trying to kill these guys? Because these princes inherit the land from their mothers or their big mamas, or
the men don't inherit the land. The women inherit the land.
Go ahead.
Okay, so now you're talking about the setup of the tribes and how we operated across the land in face of how the enemy is forcing us to act out of character by having us operate out of character. Right? The Truman Show. You know how it's going to run until you put a wild card in there. The wild card is designed to give you the impression that anything can happen at any moment. Right? But nobody's in control. Somebody is in control. They control the systems. You can control the people without having to worry about controlling the person.
Right.
It's sheep herding 101. Keep the flock together and they're easier to manage.
Makes sense. And I feel like that.
Yeah, so now the way you manage it in the human, because we tend to be a thinking creature by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So they use a school system to teach us how to play the role of a befuddling idiot. Remember I told you that before?
Yep.
The school system is to arrest your development, your psychological development, by feeding you false information, misleading information, and information that has no translatable value to providing a living for your life unless you teaching that same garbage.
Right? Damn, that's cold. That's cold. So not only to take us out, what was their thing with the women? Because I noticed the Knights of Templar was protecting the women. They was out to protect the Black Madonna.
Yeah, they are sworn protectors of Scotland and Scotia.
Okay.
The Knights Templar is written more about as the Vikings than they written about as Knights Templar.
Oh.
Remember, they was at war in the Crusades, and they had rebelled against the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
When they rebelled against the Catholic Church because they found out that the story of Jesus is the story of ISIS.
Right. I heard that.
That's why on their seal they got, was it IHS?
Right.
Right. And they keep saying they mean Ashua, Yahshua, it's an I.
Aisha.
It's an I for ISIS. The Great Mother. The Great Mother.
Yeah.
So they call her Isis in Greek. And then they call Jesus Isis in Greek.
Yeah.
But Jesus is supposed to be the son. But in the Bible, they only mentioned him one time and called him Emmanuel. So that means that the central theme of the story is a story about the Great Mother, and she got a son that's going to come look for her.
Right. Makes sense.
Right. So what happened? He went into hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of what? 13, right?
Well, he went to hiding as a baby because
that was the first time when Joseph and Mary went in hide.
Yeah. Then the next
but I'm talking about after he had his dispute with the scribes and the Pharisees.
Yeah, that's about 12, I think.
Yeah, 12. He was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Right. That means he was a master of the zodiac. He could read the zodiac wheel.
Let's go ahead.
It's not reflective of his birth age. It's reflective of his skill set.
Go ahead.
In order to debate astrology with sun worshipers, you have to know sun worship lingo, astrology. But it's not sun worship, it's reading the solar key, the gold key, the astrology chart, in order to determine who a thing is.
Right.
So this is the same thing when you asked earlier about them watching our birth dates in order to catch us coming back.
Right.
Right. They knew who Emmett Till was, Chief Littlehorn. They just hadn't started calling him that yet.
Yeah.
They threw the pale-faced lady under the bus, and them niggas went and got him.
Yeah.
Wasn't no pale faces went and got him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the
right?
the niggas that went and got him, they the one that logged his birth, or they got word from somebody.
They the ones came up with the story that he whistled at the white lady,
Yeah. Same.
and that the mob went to his house and got him. But his family said it was two niggas came to the house and got him, talking about they trying to protect the community.
Yeah.
And I was always thought it was odd that didn't nobody never follow up on that lead.
Right.
Right. And then in the movie, they show you the niggas holding him down on the back of the truck.
Man. And then the thing is, they run that same MO. These black hand guys. They did it in Roswell. They did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the black Wall Street, where he touched the white girl around the elevator. Then the whole town get burnt down.
But see, that's always the convenient excuse to keep the skin. You got to remember, they trying to convince us that somebody is better than somebody else by skin color alone.
Go ahead.
Our interaction being in close proximity, sooner or later, we're going to be like, wait a minute, everybody with that skin color don't feel the same way.
Right.
You got more people with our skin color that hate people with our skin color than you got people with a lighter skin color.
That's facts.
But we don't never talk about that because we don't want to address the source.
Yep.
Because when you trace it back to the source, it end up with the Huguenots and the conquistadors is fighting these wars in the south of the United States until they challenge us to the Conjure War. Feathers versus Fezzes, the George Washington challenge. And we came in with 50 chiefs, and we came out with way more than we went in with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That George Washington challenge connect with this too, because that he was part of that same oath to come and get rid of the that challenge ties into the blood oath to get rid of the princes on the land and make them pretty much wipe their memory out. Now let's bring my next question, and then we're gonna run. We got more. We got about 4 more clips to run. But why was it important to make us forget a lot of our stuff that we did, like divinations and like
because they cutting you off from your intrinsic ancestral power base. They take away your spirituality and replace it with religion that keeps you powerless because you constantly put yourself in a sleep spell in the name of the Amun. It's a mandatory spell. Every time you saying it at the end of your prayers, you telling the known God to remain unknown. I mean, don't shine my light in the world. I don't want people to know I'm powerful. So it enhances the ego, but it subjugates the God's self. It's like putting shackles on a God. Because can't nobody hold you down but you. Can't nobody hold me down. Oh no, you got to keep on moving. So when you look at the war structure, the goal is when the close of the age come, all debts must be settled. All conjures must be closed, right? Everybody must be prepared to account for their right or their wrongdoing, because this is the great celestial payout for the karma that we accumulated over lifetimes. We call it generational traumas, generational curses, generational blessings, right? Because we all know a family, they ain't rich, but they don't never want for nothing. None of them in their family don't never want for nothing, but they ain't rich. They always stumble into the good jobs without having to have all of the qualifications. It just lines up for them, right? That's because that's their generational path clear financially, right? Normally when you find people in poverty, that means that they the pauper gods. They waiting on the end to cash in. They don't know that heaven is on earth, but they about to find out. Some popes as they want to. They're not going to take the place of the divine feminine.
Right.
Right? And the return of the ancient ones is at hand. We here.
Yes, sir.
Ain't this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time that we had to go through this. This is just the only time you remember because it's the time you're dealing with right now.
Right.
Right? When you playing in the 2025 championship game, you don't give a damn about the 2024 championship game, especially when you're playing against a different team.
Mm.
Right? You know you already that game already won. That's over with. This is where we at because all of this charade game they playing, this galactic chess game they playing, games of the gods, board games, lodge games, they all expiring in real time. And as they all fall, they have to make these announcements like the lizard bitch died, the trans-testicle pope died. All of those are what they call markers, just to mark where they at in the fall of the old system. Because all it is about changing the system into a new, more prosperous system because somebody thought they could do it better than the ones who had been doing it for eons. So they had 6,000 years to prove themselves and they failed.
Mm-hmm.
They was too focused on trying to turn men into women than trying to find peace and harmony and bring heaven back to earth.
Mm. Let's get to the next question, Rod. We're gonna do about 3 more before we get out here. We officially crossed the 2-hour mark. We still got 4,200 people in the building. Shout out to everybody who's you know tapped into this information tonight. Rod, Ice Storm wants to know: can you talk about the Haiti Empire in America? I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Haiti or Haiti?
Haiti. So they are critical right now. Like all eyes from the Americas, North, Central, and South, should be on Haiti. We need to be hoping that we see them experience prosperity and fast, because they the ones who've been economically in last place, and they gonna get the first payout on the turnaround. Because the last gonna be made first, it's already written. And the first gonna be made last, meaning all of them leeches and blood suckers that thought they was at the top, they finna get kicked to the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're gonna put them on the caboose of the train, and then I hope I had a saboteur that while we moving the train real fast, that they disconnect their boxcar and leave their ass rolling in the opposite direction.
Oh shit.
But AT is important. The Haitian Revolution, this is what your divine insight was fighting for. This is what you got Orisha Stone, my chief of staff, Rising Phoenix. This is what they've been fighting for, to close out the Haitian Revolutionary Conjure so that they could bring the prosperity back to the island. And if you follow the migration, when they left after the French was ran out of there, they went to 2 places primarily. They went to New Orleans and they went to Florida. The soldiers went to Florida to fight the Gullah Wars. The priests and priestesses went to New Orleans to fight the Conjure Wars. We in the return of that. Everything has to come full circle in order to flip out of the infinity loop. This is a wrap, and they are critical. Jamaica is critical too, because Duddy Bookman came from Jamaica to Haiti in order to assist in the and there wasn't no pale faces they was fighting, contrary to popular opinion. They was fighting Negropeans called Huguenots.
Huguenots.
Yeah, that was the French equivalent of conquistadors.
Right. That's who they was fighting.
Yep.
Boy, Rod dropping a history for us, y'all. All right, let's keep this thing going, man. Like I said, wow, what a show. In the very beginning, I said this. I knew what it was going to be tonight. Rod, they want to know, okay? They want to know what's your take on walk-in souls and soul transference. Oh, damn, shit.
The walk-in can only come in when somebody totally give up on their life. You walk in, just can't walk into somebody that's living a fulfilled life. The walk-in can, like if a person's suicidal and all of a sudden he decided I ain't suicidal no more, and then his whole life started changing for the better, that's a walk-in.
Shit.
Because
Damn.
it's tied to a soul contract or a book of life. Your book of life is what the path you chose to walk when you incarnate, right? And as you walk that path, and some people get so confused about their book of life and forget about the agreement they made before they came, due to the effectiveness of the system that existing in, they become suicidal because whenever you got a right to exit whenever you're ready. But if you have a purpose that's bigger than you and bigger than your, like for instance, some people book a life, they live in the dirt for 60 years and then they cross back over. Nobody never really have any interaction with them. But then other people's life have so many people tied to them, they can't just leave and leave them people with absent pages in their books of life that causes catastrophe. So you got a spiritual person, probably an ancestor, that's reading your book of life, say, I can finish this and I can make it better. So they'll come in as a walk-in. Go ahead, son. Go on. I'll let you tap out. And we're going to let Uncle Willie over there. He done lived this path before a couple of times. He can handle this with ease and make it better. So he come in, change everything around, and the whole life is better. Soul transference is only done through clones. Clones don't have a direct link to the bloodline because they artificially manufactured, unless it's a twin in utero. When that happened, the original person the clone was taken from, when they pass on in physical form, if they pass on by accident or some calamity and they were supposed to finish something, they can transfer all their energy to their clone to finish the job that they came to complete. So those are different things.
Man, all right, we're gonna do we got two more final questions. One of them is the second and last one is, what essential symptoms have you been experiencing during this earth upgrade? Rod, this is to you. What happened?
Man, I didn't have, listen, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday last week, I was in the bed.
Shit.
My whole head felt like it was gonna bust. My sinuses get clogged, right? Then some of the other symptoms that I had was stomach aches, back aches, shoulder pain, and I had a whole lot of different ones, but those are the most recent ones, especially the sore muscles.
And Rod, let me ask you, how do you know those are essential symptoms in particular?
Because I know I ain't sick. I know what they is when I feel them.
Right.
Like, for instance, what triggered the bed thing for 3 days was a solar flare came in. All you gotta do is look. You can time it. Solar flare, Schumann resonance, knocked out, or you could get the reverse. Solar flare, Schumann resonance, manic, can't sleep, up, got to do something, finishing everything up. Like, man was to make me sit my ass down because I had to come back from a sabbatical back to social media to continue trying to wake people up and help them see that there's more to this than what we've been told. So in order to make sure I'm rested when I get to Brother Rich, Big Mama say, here, go sit your ass down.
Right. Oh man. Oh man, let's get to one last question. I really want to ask. I want to ask this one because it seems simple, but it seems very simple. But I want to ask it. Why we gotta know thyself? Nigga said, why we gotta know thyself? It seems simple, but it's a lot of layers to this answer. That's why I want to ask it, Rod. Why do we have to know thyself, Rod?
The same reason when somebody's robbing your ass, you need to know who the police is. Your condition and your life mission is best understood by knowing who you are. If you don't know how you're going to react to a certain situation, life going to put you in that situation for you to jot it down in your book of notes of self, so you will know if any of that happen again, I know what to do next time. The knowledge of self is what awaken you up to who you were in past lives, your ancestral responsibilities. What do you have to do for your bloodline, your lineage, in order for all of the people that came before you to have intrinsic value? I do not know my grandfather's grandfather's name personally.
Mm-hmm.
In order for him to have any intrinsic value, they have to be expressed through me for my children to know he was important, or else I wouldn't be here. Take any one of your ancestors from out of the equation and you a different person. Every ancestor that you had, they had to come in order for you to exist. Knowing yourself is knowing what you came here for, and it's also to help you understand your life mission, your life purpose. And it's to keep that's why once you get into this, the only thing that depresses you is how slow other people wake up. That's it.
Damn.
You don't get depressed about nothing else. You might get angry about a few things, but it's not going to last long because you know anger is a fleeting emotion.
Right.
And you can't feed the anger till you do something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. But sometimes you got to learn the hard lesson in order for that aspect of the self to wake up and be like, look, it got to be a smarter way to do this. I can't be a damn fool and do this. I gotta make sense to me, and even if it don't make sense to nobody else. But if I don't know my likes and my dislikes and my pet peeves, I don't even know how to help me. So the knowledge of self is critical for you to walk your path. If you don't want to walk your path, then you can try to ignore who you is, but life gonna beat you into submission when you do that, because I tried it.
Shit.
I literally tried it.
Damn.
I heard my calling when I was 4, 5 years old and ran the other way. And every time I ran, I got knocked right back to the path.
Right. Damn. Shit. Hey, Rada, I seen I missed I think I missed a super chat question. I seen y'all in the chat. Where's it at? Give me, because that was supposed to be the last question. Goddess of Fire. Hold up. Let me where is it at? Okay, here we go. Goddess of Fire. All right. My solar return was April 12th, same day of the pink moon. My period was extended a week. And that never happened before. Did the pink moon affect my cycle? Shout out to Goddess of Fire. Thank you for the super chat, sis. I almost missed your question.
All of the women's cycles is governed by the frequency of the moon. This is why they don't parthogenically reproduce anymore, because the Lilith moon is eclipsed by the lunar moon. The Lilith moon, what we call the dark phase of the moon, that's when the women can access the same higher consciousness that allows them to produce parthogenically. And the 28-day cycle is to make it where when that dark window come around, you off rhythm with the Lilith moon. And this is why they say that Eve replaced Lilith as the consort of Adam. This is what they're talking about. So it's definitely possible that the pink moon could have affected your cycle. But better than asking me, ask yourself, because you know yourself better than I know you. And the answer always comes back to you. And when it comes back to you, this is how you gonna know. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's what that was.
Right.
An aha moment. When you send yourself, your mind to answer a question for you, it don't come back as you telling yourself, read Psalms 37. No, don't do none of that. It come back to you as an aha moment.
Yeah.
right? And if your mind can't find the answer, but it know who got the answer, the person will haphazardly give you an off-the-cuff book reference, song reference, movie reference, and then when you read the book, listen to the song, or watch the movie, the answer will be sitting right there in your face. And you're like, dang, I was just asking myself about that the other day, right? So you have to know how you answer yourself. This is another, go back to the prior question of why do you need to know yourself? Because when the answers come in, you need to know that the answer from you, or if it's just a random thought somebody down the street had that flew into your field.
Mm.
You don't know yourself, you can't answer yourself.
Hey, Rob,
right?
Real quick, this is a hell of a show tonight, y'all. This is one of them ones. This is a hell of a show tonight, Rod. So let's say I'm in meditation and I have an aha moment, and then this happened to me. So this is why I'm asking you this. So I had one of the moments where I'm like, oh shit, wow, that's it right there. And then like 10 seconds after that, I think about my pops. So does that mean my pops gave me that aha moment? Because I've had aha moments.
Rich, you already answered your question, but you just wanted to verify for the people that you got an answer from your pops from the other side. You already knew the answer.
I'm gonna talk to you about it.
You already knew the answer. Every time so your father went through a particular life that he learned some stuff.
Yeah.
That's in your DNA.
Yeah.
When you ask yourself, one of the first places you looked is in your motherland and fatherland before you went for outside information.
Mm-hmm.
When the aha moment, you crack that codon on the DNA that got that information in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing that you want to know is, wait a minute, how did that get there? Oh, Dad, you know Pops put that there for you. Boy, I couldn't let you just overlook yourself. It's how it works.
How it works, yeah.
Right? And when the ancestors cross over, they even push more of who they are down on you, especially the wiser they are, the more they wisdom energy they want to push, because they want you to maximize your potential. I was wicked with the hands. We used to be talking growing up on All I Love. The rumor around Pontiac was, do you think Rod Hayes could beat Mike Tyson? Mike was knocking him out.
You was ill with like that, Rod?
Wicked.
Rod, come on,
Listen,
man.
when I got to Chicago, to the county jail, dudes were telling me stories about this dude in Michigan with them hands. And they was telling me stories of fights I had. And I'm like, what? How the hell you know that? The legend of the street legends, right? Locally, I'm a street legend. Mm-hmm. Nationally, I ain't nobody. Mm-hmm. Right? But I brought that up for a reason. Mm-hmm. My job wasn't to be Mike Tyson. That was his job. Mm-hmm. Right? Or else I would have found my customato. Mm-hmm. I never found my customato. Mm-hmm. I learned how to train first I learned from one of my cousins, and then I took what he taught me and started studying everybody else with hands.
Right.
Right? So I still never got to play it out in the ring, but I got to play it out in the street. Right? I got to fight 10 niggas at one time and win. Right? I got me and my brother fighting 30, 40 dudes and win. Right? I got to do all that. It don't even matter now. Because I don't got no belt. I don't got no trophy wall or none of that. Now, I grew up, my uncle had a guy next door to him named Art Hall. Art Hall was a Golden Glove great. And I had a crush on his sister. This is how I find out. I'll go in there because I got a crush on his sister. I'm trying to sneak over there to see her. And I see all these boxing trophies. And I was like, who are all them trophies? She was like, that's my brother's. But you can't stay because my mom and them on the way home. So I'll run back over to my uncle's house, right? And I thought about that for a long time, right? Because also he was wicked with the hoops. right? But then neither one of them was his life mission. His life mission might be he might be a supervisor overseeing geeks in Silicon Valley, far as I know. But he had them hands, he had them hoop skills. I learned how to play basketball for real in prison. Right? Before that, I run the court, I could shoot the ball, but I didn't understand the psychology of the game. So I was never gonna be Michael Jordan. Right? My calling was different. My mom used to always tell me, and I used to get mad when I want to do something. That's not your calling. You got a whole different calling. And I get mad at her. And I try my best to be real good at it. So she could change her mind, but it didn't work.
It ain't work.
Right. So one day I was like, well, what's my calling? She said, you got to do the Lord's work. I'm like, who the hell is the Lord? And what land this nigga at? Yeah. Because I didn't understand the spiritual nature of the gifts that I had, why I would see things. You're going to be the prophet. I ain't no prophet. Like, I might get some prophets, get to the bag.
Yeah.